In a world drowning in noise, your true power lies not in how loudly you speak, but in how deeply you control your words. What if the secret to influence, respect, and inner strength isn't saying more, but mastering when to say less? This isn't about silence as weakness, it's about silence as unstoppable power. Ready to unlock the ancient lessons that will change how you speak and live forever? Let's dive into the 12 Stoic principles that will transform your voice, your mind, and your life. Silence. It's often misunderstood as weakness, as passivity, or even as fear. But the truth, the hard, unshakable truth, is that silence is the most powerful weapon you have. In a world obsessed with noise, with constant updates, endless debates, and the compulsive need to be heard, silence stands apart. Silence demands respect because it holds a power that no shout can match. Look around you. The loudest voices don't always lead. The ones who make the biggest impact. They don't need to broadcast every thought, defend every action, or explain every step. They harness the quiet strength that comes from knowing when to speak, and more importantly, when to stay silent. Why? Because silence is control. It's self-mastery in its purest form. When you learn to own your silence, you own your mind. You stop being pulled by every provocation, every distraction, every opinion that crosses your path. You refuse to give away your energy to the chaos of the outside world. The Stoics, ancient masters of self-discipline and clarity, knew this well. Epictetus, one of their greatest teachers, said, "Let silence be your general rule." This wasn't a call for avoidance or withdrawal. It was a declaration of power. It means choosing your moments with precision. It means refusing to react impulsively or waste your breath on things that do not serve your purpose. Think about the last time you felt compelled to respond, maybe to a criticism, a misunderstanding, or an argument. How often did that response bring you peace? Or did it leave you feeling drained, regretful, maybe even weaker? That's the trap. The world tries to convince you that if you don't respond immediately, you lose. But real power isn't about winning every argument. It's about preserving your peace, your clarity, your focus. Silence is the space where this power grows. It's where your mind slows down enough to catch your real thoughts, your true E. But make no mistake, silence is not empty. It is full of intention. It is a battlefield where you confront your ego, your fears, your impulses. It forces you to face the uncomfortable parts of yourself that most people run away from. But this discomfort is exactly where transformation begins. The power of silence is that it unsettles the noise around you. It makes the loud distractions irrelevant. When you walk into a room and choose silence, you radiate confidence. People lean in because your presence fills the space. You don't need to prove anything because your calm, collected energy says it all. This is not just philosophy, it's strategy. Silence is your shield and your sword. It protects your mind from unnecessary battles and sharpens your ability to strike with precision when the moment demands it. But here's the crucial insight. Silence alone is not enough. Silence is the foundation, the bedrock of strength, but it's only the beginning. Because power also requires action. The real mastery comes when you pair this silent strength with purposeful movement. In the next part, we'll dive into the principle that transforms silent strength into unstoppable momentum. How do you speak less but do more? How do you let your actions, not your words, define your impact? How do you build quietly while the world clamors for attention? Because here's the truth the noisy world won't tell you. The person who speaks less but acts relentlessly is the one who wins the game. They don't need validation, applause, or constant recognition. Their results do the talking. So if you've felt exhausted by the endless noise, if you've been burned by your own words, or if you're simply ready to reclaim control over your voice and your power, stay close. What you're about to learn will change the way you engage with the world forever. Silence is not a retreat. It's a strategic advance. It's the quiet before the storm of your success. And it all begins here. You've already begun to understand the power of silence, how holding back your words can build a fortress of inner strength and clarity. But silence alone is just the beginning. True mastery lies in what you do with the words you choose to speak. It's not about filling the room with noise or dominating every conversation. It's about speaking less, but making every word count. In a world drowning in chatter, the ability to speak less and impact more is your secret weapon. When you trim the excess, when you cut through the noise with precision, your voice becomes an instrument of power, not just noise. People don't remember the ones who talk the most. They remember those who say what matters. Imagine two people in a room. One fills every second with endless words, explanations, justifications, defenses. The other says only what's necessary, and when they speak, it carries weight. Who commands attention? Who earns respect? The answer is obvious. This isn't about being mysterious or aloof. It's about discipline. Discipline in your speech reflects discipline in your mind and your life. It shows you've done the work internally. It tells the world you are deliberate, focused, and unshakable. Too often, we talk to fill uncomfortable silence, to prove ourselves, or to avoid being misunderstood. But that constant talking, it dilutes your presence. It spreads your energy thin and invites distractions. The louder you speak, the more you invite resistance and misunderstandings. But speaking less? It forces you to listen, truly listen, and to understand. It makes your words thoughtful, intentional, and unavoidable. When you speak less, you learn to speak strategically. You learn the power of timing, of tone, and of context. This is where impact is born. The power to move others, to inspire action, to influence outcomes. It's not in volume, it's in value. The few words you choose can spark ideas, shift perspectives, and change trajectories. And here's a truth you can't ignore. The way you speak shapes not only how others see you, but how you see yourself. Every word is a building block of your identity. When you practice restraint, you craft an image of calm authority. When you rush to fill every silence, you risk becoming a blur, forgotten and overlooked. Great leaders, powerful communicators, and unforgettable influencers all share this secret. They are not the loudest voices in the room. They are the clearest. They choose their words carefully, deliver them with confidence, and leave space for others to absorb their message. Think about the last time you were truly moved by someone's words. Was it because they spoke endlessly? Or was it because they spoke with purpose, brevity, and authenticity? The impact is in the meaning, not the amount. This principle doesn't just apply to public speaking or leadership. It's vital in every conversation, at work, in relationships, and within yourself. Speaking less encourages you to pause, reflect, and respond, rather than react. It teaches you patience and self-control. And patience is a superpower. When you resist the urge to say everything that comes to mind, you protect your integrity. You protect your peace. You protect your future. But here's the catch. Speaking less is hard. Our brains are wired for social connection, and sometimes that connection feels like endless talking. It's uncomfortable to stay quiet when you want to defend, explain, or persuade. Yet, this discomfort is where growth happens. The next time you feel the impulse to speak immediately, pause. Ask yourself, is this necessary? Is this true? Is this kind? Is this aligned with who I want to be? If the answer is no, hold your tongue. Let silence do the work. When you speak with this level of intention, your words become a rare commodity. They pierce through the noise. They demand attention. And with that attention comes influence. Remember, speaking less isn't about shutting down. It's about showing up with more impact. It's about letting your actions back your words and your presence back your voice. Now, if you think about it, this principle is a natural extension of what silence teaches us. Silence builds the foundation. Speaking less but with power builds the structure. But the building isn't complete yet. You need to nurture and protect it, because there's a hidden danger, one that many fall into without realizing. When you finally speak, if your words don't align with your actions, your silence was wasted. When you speak just to impress, to manipulate, or to cover insecurity, you lose the strength you gained from restraint. The next principle will reveal how to maintain authenticity in your speech and ensure your words build rather than break. It's about how to discipline your voice so it reflects your true character, internally and externally. So, as you prepare to harness this power of speaking less and impacting more, get ready to learn the art of aligning your inner dialogue with your outer voice. Because the true measure of influence isn't how loudly you shout, but how deeply you connect. Stay with this journey. What you say next could change everything if you choose to speak with power. You've already begun mastering the art of speaking less to impact more. Now it's time to dive deeper, to discipline your speech so it becomes a direct reflection of your true self. This is not just about choosing your words wisely. It's about aligning your voice with your values, your principles, and your authentic identity. Too often, people let their speech be hijacked by external pressures, the need to impress, to defend, to justify, or to fit in. But when your speech drifts away from who you really are, it becomes a mask, a performance that drains your energy and dilutes your power. Discipline in speech means breaking free from those chains. It means owning every word you say, understanding the weight it carries, and using it intentionally to build the person you truly want to be. Your words are not just sounds in the air. They are the blueprint of your character. The way you speak shapes how others see you, and even more importantly, how you see yourself. Every phrase, every tone, every sentence you utter either strengthens or weakens the foundation of your identity. Ask yourself, when I speak, am I expressing my true beliefs? Or am I echoing what others expect to hear? Am I speaking to be understood or to be validated? Am I honest, or am I hiding behind cliches and empty phrases? The discipline of speech starts internally. Before your words ever reach another's ear, you must master your internal dialogue. The story you tell yourself in your mind is the soil from which your spoken words grow. If that inner conversation is chaotic, self-critical, or reactive, it's impossible to speak with clarity and strength. Discipline your internal speech first. Treat yourself with respect and honesty. Replace self-sabotaging thoughts with constructive reflections. Instead of, "I'm not good enough," say, "I'm learning and growing." Instead of, "I always mess up," say, "I'm refining my approach." This internal alignment transforms your external communication. When your mind is calm and disciplined, your words gnaw. But discipline isn't about perfection. It's about consistency. It's about catching yourself in moments of mindless chatter or reactive speech and choosing to pause, reflect, and redirect. It's about refusing to let frustration, fear, or ego dictate your voice. Consider the damage careless words can do: relationships strained, opportunities lost, respect diminished. And yet, we rarely hold ourselves accountable for the speech that slips out in haste or emotion. That must change. Discipline your speech by setting clear standards. Before you speak, ask yourself four powerful questions. Is it true? Is it necessary? Is it kind? Does it serve my purpose? If your words don't pass this test, silence is your strongest answer. When you commit to this discipline, you stop wasting energy on empty arguments or meaningless explanations. You stop diluting your message with filler and distractions. Instead, you speak with precision and integrity. This kind of speech builds trust. People feel it. They sense your authenticity and respect your boundaries. Your words become your signature, concise, clear, and compelling. Imagine the difference when you can say no without guilt, when you can set boundaries without over-explaining, when you can share your truth without fear of judgment. That's the power of disciplined speech. Yet, discipline doesn't mean shutting down vulnerability or honesty. It means choosing when, where, and how to express yourself. Vulnerability shared with wisdom and timing is strength, not weakness. You don't owe anyone an explanation for your journey, your choices, or your growth. Those who truly respect you don't demand it. They trust your integrity without a running commentary. In practicing this discipline, you become a master of your narrative. You stop reacting to the noise around you and start crafting your story on your own terms. Your voice becomes a force that attracts respect, opens doors, and commands presence. But this journey requires vigilance. The world will tempt you with distractions, reactions, and the urge to perform. You will face moments when speaking up feels urgent, when silence feels uncomfortable, when self-doubt tries to creep in. In those moments, remember this: your disciplined speech is your armor and your weapon. It shields you from chaos and projects your power. It is the living proof that you are the author of your life, not a victim of circumstance. And here's the compelling truth: as your speech aligns with your true self, your influence multiplies. Your presence deepens. Your relationships transform. Doors open without you having to shout or plead. You'll find that people naturally gravitate towards your clarity, your confidence, and your calm. They listen when you speak because they know your words are backed by action, conviction, and authenticity. But this is just the beginning. The next phase of this journey reveals how to wield this disciplined speech to build unbreakable trust within yourself and with those around you. You'll learn the secrets to turning your words into bridges, not barriers. How to communicate in ways that empower, inspire, and unite rather than divide or confuse. So ask yourself now, are my words a true reflection of who I am, strong, clear, and authentic? Or are they scattered echoes of doubt, fear, or need for approval? The choice is yours. The power is in your voice, but only if you discipline it to reflect your true self. Prepare to take the next step, where your words become more than sounds, they become a legacy. You've disciplined your speech to reflect your true self, powerful, intentional, authentic. Now it's time to take the next leap into the core of real strength, restraint, and emotional mastery. In a world addicted to instant reactions, loud opinions, and emotional explosions, Restraint is the quiet revolution few dare to embrace. Restraint is not weakness. It is a rare and potent form of power, the power to hold back when everyone else rushes forward. Imagine this. In the heat of conflict, when anger rises like a wildfire inside, the majority explode. They lash out, react impulsively, and fuel the chaos. But the truly strong, the masters of restraint, they pause. They breathe. They choose their response, not let their emotions control them. This is emotional mastery. It is the decisive moment between stimulus and reaction, where your true power lives. The ancient Stoics understood this better than anyone. They didn't seek to suppress emotions, but to govern them, to feel deeply but not be ruled by the tides within. Why is this so critical? Because unchecked emotions destroy. They sabotage your decisions, erode relationships, and sabotage your inner peace. Anger unchecked becomes bitterness. Fear unchecked becomes paralysis. Impulse unchecked becomes regret. But mastery over emotions? That's freedom. The freedom to respond with clarity, courage, and control. Ask yourself, how often have you said or done something in anger and instantly regretted it? How often have you let anxiety dictate your choices? How many times have impulse or pride cost you more than you gained? That ends now. Emotional mastery means creating that space, even if it's just a breath, between what happens and how you respond. It means refusing to be a puppet whose strings are pulled by every trigger. It means asking, is this worth my energy? Does this reaction serve my purpose? Does it reflect the person I want to be? Mastery doesn't mean ignoring emotions or pretending they don't exist. It means acknowledging them fully, understanding their source, and choosing your actions wisely. Picture a storm. Emotional mastery is not about avoiding the storm, but learning to navigate through it without losing control of the ship. Developing this mastery starts with awareness. You must recognize your triggers, patterns, and habitual reactions. What sets you off? What moments steal your calm? Once you know these, you can train yourself to pause, to delay the reaction long enough to choose a better path. This pause is your gateway to power. The moment you break free from the automatic emotional response, you reclaim your sovereignty. And what's incredible is that this power grows exponentially. Each time you choose restraint, your emotional muscles strengthen. Each time you refuse to be pulled into drama, you expand your calm and clarity. This mastery spills over into every area of life. In relationships, it means listening without immediately defending. In the workplace, it means responding with logic, not rashness. In your personal growth, it means overcoming fear instead of succumbing to it. But let's be honest, emotional mastery is hard. The world rewards the loud, the fast, the reactionary. It's tempting to vent, to shout, to unload. It feels like relief, but that relief is temporary. The consequences often last far longer. Mastery requires patience, practice, and above all, courage. It requires you to look inward and face the uncomfortable truths beneath your emotions. The insecurities, the wounds, the fears that fuel your reactions. And in that vulnerability lies your strength. When you hold space for your emotions without being controlled by them, you unlock a power that no external force can shake. This is where true confidence is born, the kind that doesn't need to prove itself through volume or aggression. The restrained person commands respect not by shouting louder, but by being unshakably calm and centered. This kind of emotional sovereignty changes how the world interacts with you. It shifts dynamics, diffuses conflicts before they escalate, and creates an aura of steady strength. And it all begins with a single choice, the choice to master yourself before you attempt to master anything else. But emotional mastery doesn't mean isolation. It means balance. You feel, you process, you express, but on your terms. You don't let fleeting impulses hijack your trajectory. Think of it like training a powerful engine. You don't unleash full throttle at every turn. You manage the power, control the output, and harness it for maximum performance. That's restraint. And this mastery will soon empower your speech, the next frontier. Because when your emotions are under control, your words gain unmatched weight and precision. You no longer speak to react, but to build, to lead, to inspire. You become the calm in the storm, the voice that carries clarity and strength. So prepare yourself. The next chapter will unlock how to wield this emotional mastery to build trust, influence, and unbreakable presence. Remember, restraint is not silence. It's power in motion, tempered by wisdom. It's the quiet force that turns chaos into control. It's the difference between living as a victim of circumstance and living as the master of your destiny. And this mastery begins right now, inside you. You've mastered restraint. You've begun to govern your emotions. Now it's time to break free from one of the most insidious chains holding you back: external validation. From the moment we're born, society teaches us to seek approval, from parents, teachers, friends, bosses, even strangers online. Likes, comments, nods of agreement, applause, these become the currency of our self-worth. But here's the truth that most never confront. When your confidence depends on the opinions of others, you become a prisoner. You hand over your power, your peace, and your identity to forces outside your control. Imagine waking up every day feeling the weight of judgment, the anxiety of being liked, the constant need to perform, to impress, to prove. That's not living, that's survival. Real power comes when you detach from this endless cycle, when you no longer chase approval or fear rejection, when your sense of worth is grounded internally, rooted in your values, your principles, your actions. The Stoics were clear on this. Marcus Aurelius didn't ask, "What do others think of me?" He asked, "Am I living rightly?" Because only your own integrity matters. External validation is a double-edged sword. On the surface, praise feels good, intoxicating even. It releases dopamine, floods your brain with reward. But it's dangerous. And when the applause stops, the confidence fades, the motivation dries up. You're left hollow, dependent on the spotlight to survive. Detaching from external validation means reclaiming your power. It means finding joy in your own efforts, pride in your own progress, whether anyone sees it or not. It means showing up, doing the work, and not needing a standing ovation. This freedom changes everything. Your decisions become fearless. You're no longer afraid to say no, to walk away, to stand alone, because you know your worth doesn't need to be confirmed. Think about the times you've held back, said yes when you meant no, softened your truth, changed yourself to fit in. That's the cost of seeking approval. Now, imagine living without those chains, saying what you mean, standing firm in your values, owning your path with confidence that doesn't waver with outside noise. This detachment is not about isolation or arrogance. It's about clarity and self-respect. It's about choosing who you let into your inner circle, who deserves your energy, who you want to influence you, not control you. Because here's the irony. When you stop needing to be liked, people actually respect you more. When you stop chasing validation, you become magnetic. Why? Because authenticity is rare, real, powerful. When you act from a place of internal validation, your energy shifts. Your presence commands attention without demanding it. Your words carry weight because they come from truth, not from fear. This is the foundation of unshakable confidence. But detaching from external validation is a process, a battle fought daily. You'll face resistance. Old habits will call you back. Doubt will whisper that you need approval to survive. You'll hear the voice of insecurity screaming, "What if they don't like me? What if I'm not enough?" That's where discipline meets courage. You answer with action. You choose integrity over image. You remember that you are the master of your own mind. And every time you resist the urge to seek approval, you grow stronger. The social media world, the office politics, the noisy crowds, they want to pull you back into performance, into people-pleasing, into a constant state of unrest. But you don't have to play their game. You don't have to explain yourself or justify your choices endlessly. No longer will your energy leak through the cracks of needing others' acceptance. Instead, you build your life around your own standards. You find freedom in saying, "I don't need your approval. I know my worth." This mindset frees you from emotional manipulation. It prevents others from stealing your joy by withholding validation. It lets you focus on what truly matters, your growth, your purpose, your peace. And this detachment fuels your resilience. When criticism comes, and it will, you stand unmoved. When rejection hits, and it will, you keep moving. Because your foundation is unshakable. You live for yourself, not for the crowd. And that, my friend, is revolutionary. Now, where do you begin? Start by observing. Notice how often you seek external approval. How frequently your mood shifts with others' opinions. Next, practice self-validation. Celebrate small wins privately. Affirm your worth without needing a second opinion. Set boundaries around your energy. Limit time with people or environments that drain your self-esteem. Cultivate gratitude for your unique path, not comparison with others. Build habits that honor your values, not popular trends. And remember, this is a journey. It takes patience. You will slip. You will question. But keep coming back to this truth. Your value is inherent. It does not need to be earned or proven. Soon you'll notice a shift. A quiet confidence replacing anxious approval-seeking. You'll feel more at peace, more centered, more alive. Your relationships will deepen, not because you try harder, but because you show up authentically. Your work will thrive, fueled by passion, not performance. Your voice will become clearer, louder, without shouting. And that leads us to the next powerful principle, cultivating silence and presence within yourself. Because detaching from external validation is just the start. True mastery comes when your internal world is so grounded, so rich, that silence becomes your greatest ally. When you don't need to fill every space with noise or explanation. When your presence alone speaks volumes. That's the next step. The power of silence, your hidden force in a noisy world. Prepare to dive deep. You've taken the monumental step of detaching from external validation. You've started owning your worth from within. But now comes a lesson often overlooked, one that separates the truly wise from the rest. Not everything deserves to be shared. Your truth, that sacred, raw, vulnerable core of who you are, is not a commodity to be tossed around casually. It's a treasure, a powerful force that shapes your life and your legacy. Yet in a world addicted to oversharing, where privacy feels like a luxury and every moment is broadcast, many have forgotten the art of selective sharing. But here's what the wise know. Guard your truth like the precious resource it is. Because your truth, when handled carelessly, loses its power. It becomes diluted, misunderstood, even weaponized. You're not obligated to share every thought, feeling, or experience just to be authentic. True authenticity isn't about exposing everything. It's about revealing yourself with intention, courage, and discernment. When you share indiscriminately, you give away pieces of your soul to people who may not deserve it, may not understand it, or worse, may use it against you. You risk being judged, dismissed, or betrayed. You invite noise where there should be silence. You trade your peace for fleeting connection. Let me be clear, vulnerability is strength. But reckless exposure? That's weakness disguised as courage. Selective sharing is the shield of those who have mastered their inner world. It's the wisdom to know when, where, and with whom to open your heart. It's the discipline to protect your emotional energy and preserve your integrity. It's the refusal to water down your story to make others comfortable. You've probably felt the sting of sharing your deepest thoughts with someone only to be met with indifference, criticism, or betrayal. That's the price of giving your truth away too freely. But when you learn to guard your truth, you start choosing your audience wisely. You share with those who listen with presence, empathy, and respect, not with those who just want to hear what they want or who are waiting to judge. You become the gatekeeper of your own narrative. This doesn't mean shutting down. It means being strategic. It means building sacred sea. Because your truth is not just a story. It's energy. It's the foundation of your confidence, the fuel for your purpose. Treat it carelessly, and it leaks away, leaving you exposed and drained. Protect it fiercely, and it becomes a fortress, unbreakable and enduring. The Stoics taught the power of emotional sovereignty, owning your inner life and refusing to surrender it to anyone else. That begins with what you share. Imagine your truth as a rare gem. You wouldn't hand it to just anyone, right? You'd examine who's worthy, who can honor it, who will handle it with care. In the same way, your personal stories, struggles, dreams, and values deserve that level of respect. Selective sharing isn't about mistrust. It's about wisdom. It's about understanding that not everyone is ready or capable of holding your light without casting shadows. It's about saving your energy for those who will amplify, not diminish, your spirit. You also learn to recognize the difference between sharing to connect and sharing to seek validation. Those who overshare often do it because of unmet needs, a craving for attention, reassurance, or acceptance. But selective sharers communicate from a place of fullness, not emptiness. They share because it serves their growth or strengthens bonds, not to fill a void. This mindset shifts your relationships profoundly. You stop oversharing with acquaintances and save your deepest truths for those who have earned your trust over time. You create boundaries that keep toxic influences out and invite meaningful connections in. Your silence around certain truths becomes a statement, a powerful declaration of self-respect. And guess what? That makes you even more magnetic. People sense when you're intentional about what you reveal. They respect your discretion. They lean in because they know that when you speak, it matters. But selective sharing also requires self-awareness. You must be honest with yourself about your motivations. Are you sharing this because it's necessary, helpful, or healing? Or are you sharing it out of fear, insecurity, or a need to be seen? That reflection separates growth from performance. Remember, your truth is not a performance on the world's stage. It's your inner compass, guiding your steps with integrity and clarity. And sometimes, the most powerful thing you can do with your truth is to keep it close. Hold it like a fire within, warm, alive, but not blazing out of control. This doesn't mean shutting down your vulnerability or authentic expression. It means cultivating sacred spaces within and without. It means learning to say, "This is mine, and I will share it when the time is right." It means trusting that your truth will find the right ears and hearts in due time. The benefits of this selective sharing are profound. You'll notice increased emotional resilience because you're no longer bleeding energy into unworthy outlets. You'll experience deeper intimacy with those who truly know you because the stories you share have weight and meaning. You'll protect your mental and emotional health by avoiding unnecessary drama, judgment, and misunderstanding. And here's the biggest payoff: your voice becomes stronger. Because when you do share, you do so with precision and power. Your words carry intention and impact. People listen because you don't waste breath on noise. You don't spill your vulnerabilities on every casual acquaintance. You reserve your truth for the few who deserve it, and that is a rare form of strength in a world addicted to oversharing. Now, as you guard your truth like a treasure, you naturally cultivate another critical skill: the power of disciplined speech. Because protecting what you say goes hand in hand with protecting who you are. What you share publicly is the reflection of your inner self, your values, your discipline. And that leads us perfectly into the next principle: mastering your speech to reflect your true self. The words you choose, the moments you speak, the truths you reveal, they all become the building blocks of your identity. So prepare to dive deeper into the art of disciplined communication. Because your voice, when aligned with your inner strength and carefully guarded truth, becomes unstoppable. But first, take a moment. Reflect on this. What parts of your truth have you given away too easily? Who in your life has earned the right to hear your deepest stories? And how can you begin today to guard your inner treasure with the respect it deserves? Remember, your truth is power. Protect it, cherish it, and use it wisely. Because how you handle your truth shapes not only your life, but the legacy you leave behind. You've begun to guard your truth, carefully choosing when and to whom you reveal the core of who you are. That's a monumental shift, a new level of self-mastery. But there's another layer. It's the difference between speaking to build something real or speaking just to impress. In today's world, filled with endless noise and a constant battle for attention, it's easy to fall into the trap of performing through words. You've seen it everywhere: the loudest voice, the flashiest phrase, the cleverest line grabbing the spotlight. People trying so hard to be seen, to be heard, to be admired. But let me tell you something few understand. Speaking to impress is a hollow game. It's a performance built on sand, empty words that crumble the moment the applause fades. It's exhausting, it's shallow, and worst of all, it distances you from your true power. Real power, the kind that lasts, is built by speaking to build, not to impress. When you speak to build, your words are bricks. Each sentence lays down a foundation. Each phrase adds structure. Every conversation, every interaction becomes an opportunity to create something meaningful: a relationship, a vision, a movement. This kind of speech isn't about showmanship or winning debates. It's about building trust, inspiring action, and fostering understanding. It's about communicating with clarity, honesty, and purpose. Think about the leaders you respect. The ones who command attention not because they shout the loudest, but because every word they say matters. Their presence is magnetic because their speech is deliberate, their message is aligned, and their intention is pure. They speak to build, and that makes them unforgettable. Contrast that with the person who talks to impress. They often ramble, over-explain, or exaggerate just to gain approval. Their words are designed to dazzle, but rarely to deliver. They chase likes, clout, and here's the brutal truth: people can see through it. They sense when your words are a performance, when you're more concerned about how you appear than what you truly mean. Speaking to impress is a fast track to losing credibility. It makes you predictable, inauthentic, and, ironically, less respected. So how do you shift from impressing to building? First, speak with intention. Before you say a word, ask yourself, what am I building here? Am I adding value? Am I creating connection, clarity, or trust? If the answer is no, then consider silence. Second, speak with honesty, even when it's uncomfortable. Building requires truth. It demands vulnerability and authenticity. People can handle truth far better than they can handle empty flattery or insincere words. Third, speak with precision. Less is more. The most impactful speakers don't fill the room with noise. They fill it with presence. They choose their words carefully, cutting away the fluff and getting straight to the point. This kind of speech builds respect because it shows you value not just your time, but theirs. Fourth, listen more than you talk. Building isn't a monologue, it's a dialogue. When you truly listen, you understand others better. You respond more thoughtfully. Your words then build bridges instead of walls. Fifth, align your words with your actions. Speech that builds must be backed by integrity. Empty promises or inconsistent behavior will erode any foundation you try to create. This alignment is what makes your words powerful and trustworthy. Remember, every time you speak, you're casting a vote for the person you want to become. Speaking to impress often reinforces insecurity and superficiality. Speaking to build reinforces strength, wisdom, and authenticity. You get to choose which path you walk. Here's something else to consider. Speaking to build protects you from unnecessary conflict and drama. When your intention is clear, you don't get pulled into every argument or distraction. You conserve your energy for what truly matters. Speaking to build also inspires others. When people hear you speak with purpose, they want to follow. They want to contribute. They want to be part of what you're creating. This is leadership in its purest form. It's not about ego or spotlight. It's about influence and impact. As you master speaking to build, you'll notice a profound change in how people respond to you. They lean in, not because you demand attention, but because you command respect. They trust you. They believe in your vision. And that's the true power of your voice. But this is just one piece of a larger puzzle. Because the way you speak is inseparable from how you live. Your words are reflections of your inner discipline, your emotional mastery, and your self-respect. And soon, we'll dive into how mastering your speech is just the beginning of mastering your entire presence. We'll explore how your silence, your restraint, and your emotional control elevate your voice beyond words, making your very presence a force to be reckoned with. So ask yourself right now, are you speaking to impress others, or are you speaking to build a life and legacy worth having? Are your words creating noise, or are they building something lasting? Your voice is one of your most powerful tools. Use it wisely. The path to real influence isn't in the volume of your words, but in the weight they carry. And as you step into this power, remember this. True strength speaks quietly, builds patiently, and leaves a legacy no applause can match. Now prepare to go deeper. Because next, we'll uncover how to discipline your speech so it truly reflects your authentic self. How to turn your words into a mirror of your inner strength, integrity, and vision. Get ready to unlock a level of communication that transforms not just how others see you, but how you see yourself. Because your journey from noise to power is just beginning. You've learned that speaking to build, not impress, transforms your presence. It shifts you from a performer to a creator. But there's an even deeper, more powerful skill that most people overlook. A skill that can elevate every word you speak, every interaction you have. That skill is the art of the pause. The pause is not empty silence. It is a charged moment of power, a deliberate breath between action and reaction. It's the space where your greatest strength reveals itself. In a world that values speed, instant replies, and constant noise, the pause is a radical act of mastery. Think about how often conversations get derailed by impulsive words, rushed reactions, or the need to fill every silence. How many times have you said something in the heat of the moment and immediately regretted it? How many relationships, opportunities, or reputations have been damaged by words spoken without thought? The pause is your defense against all of that. It's the moment you refuse to be controlled by impulse or emotion. Instead, you reclaim your power. When you pause, you're no longer a puppet to the chaos around you. You create space for clarity, for intention, for choice. And this space changes everything. In that brief, often overlooked moment, you decide who you want to be. Are you reacting like everyone else, or are you responding with purpose? Are you letting your emotions dictate your actions, or are you mastering your emotions to serve your highest self? The pause is the birthplace of that mastery. Legendary leaders, great speakers, and powerful communicators all understand this intuitively. They use the pause to command attention, to build anticipation, and to demonstrate control. But the pause is far more than a performance trick. It's a reflection of inner discipline. Seneca, one of the greatest Stoic philosophers, famously said, "The greatest remedy for anger is delay." He wasn't just talking about avoiding outbursts. He was pointing to the profound power of that moment between stimulus and response, the pause where wisdom can intervene. Imagine this. You're in a high-stakes meeting. Tensions rise. Someone throws an insult your way. Your first instinct might be to fire back, fast, sharp, defensive. But instead, you pause. Just a beat longer than usual. You take a breath. You assess. In that split second, you choose your words carefully. You don't let anger hijack you. You don't. What happens next? The room shifts. The dynamic changes. Because you're no longer reacting, you're leading. That's the power of the pause. This skill isn't just for the big moments either. It's in the everyday interactions, the small decisions, the split-second choices. Pausing before answering a text. Pausing before responding in a conversation. Pausing before jumping into a heated debate. Each pause is an investment in your integrity, your clarity, your peace. But mastering the pause is not easy. It demands awareness, catching yourself before you react. It requires discipline, to hold back when every impulse screams to speak or act. It calls for courage, to face discomfort and uncertainty instead of rushing to fill the silence. The modern world is designed to steal this moment from you. Social media, instant messaging, relentless notifications, they train your brain to seek immediate reaction. They punish silence. They make you feel invisible if you don't respond instantly. But the greatest leaders, the wisest people, know that silence is not absence. Silence is presence. Silence is power. The pause is your moment to resist the pressure, to choose yourself, to anchor your responses in principle rather than emotion. And here's something many don't realize. Pausing doesn't make you weak or hesitant. It makes you strong. It makes you confident. When you pause, you demonstrate control over your mind and emotions. You show that you're not a slave to every stimulus, not a victim of your environment. You become unshakable. But it goes deeper still. The pause is not just about restraint. It's about creating meaning. Every word spoken after a thoughtful pause carries weight. It resonates. It connects. It moves people. The pause gives your words rhythm and gravity. It makes what you say unforgettable. Great communicators understand this. Think about Martin Luther King Jr.'s speeches. The deliberate pauses. The timing. The space before powerful declarations. That's how he captivated millions, not just through what he said, but how he said it. Or think about the silence after a well-delivered line in a movie or a play. The audience leans in, hanging on the next word. That silence builds tension, anticipation, impact. You can harness that same power in your everyday life. Start small. Practice pausing in low-stakes situations. Before answering a casual question, before making a simple statement, try holding the silence just a moment longer. Notice how it changes the interaction. Then bring it into tougher moments, conflicts, negotiations, emotional conversations. Pause before responding to provocation. Pause before agreeing to something you're unsure about. Pause before giving your opinion. With each pause, you build a habit of presence, a habit of mastery, a habit that prepares you for the next level. Because this pause is your gateway to the next skill we'll explore. How to wield your words so they reflect your true self with unshakable integrity. How to discipline your speech from the inside out. How to make your voice a true expression of your strength, your values, and your vision. Mastering the pause is where you stop being reactive and start being intentional. Where you reclaim your power in a noisy world. And where every word you speak becomes a force for impact, not just noise. So the question is, are you ready to own your silence? Are you ready to harness the power of the pause? Because once you do, you won't just be heard, you'll be remembered. And that is just the beginning. You've already begun to understand the strength that lies in the pause, the deliberate space where power gathers before it moves. But now let's dive deeper. Because sometimes the most commanding presence isn't about what you say. It's about what you choose to leave unsaid. In a world drowning in noise, filled with endless chatter, oversharing, and the constant need to be heard, silence isn't just golden, it's a weapon. The power of what you don't say can be far more impactful than any spoken word. When you hold back, you demonstrate control. You signal confidence. You refuse to be pulled into every argument, every distraction, every fleeting drama. Not speaking is not weakness. It is the mark of someone who knows their worth, someone who doesn't seek validation from the crowd. Someone who understands that not every thought needs a voice, not every feeling demands a confession, and not every moment calls for explanation. The wise know that silence speaks volumes. It can disarm a heated situation, calm a raging storm, or send a message louder than any shout. Think about the last time you watched a powerful movie scene or a profound conversation. Often, the silence between words, the unspoken tension, the meaningful glance, held more weight than any dialogue. That is the raw power of restraint. When you refuse to fill every silence, you create space for others to reflect, to listen, and to respect you more. But why is the power of what you don't say so often overlooked? Because we live in a culture addicted to expression, where being heard is equated with being valued, where silence is mistaken for weakness, and oversharing is mistaken for openness. The truth? Oversharing leaks your power. It drains your energy. It exposes your vulnerabilities before you've even had the chance to understand or protect them. When you say everything you think, you lose the mystery, the depth, the dignity that comes with discretion. By choosing what not to say, you protect your energy, guard your boundaries, and preserve your focus. The power lies in discerning. What deserves your voice? What deserves your energy? And what deserves your silence? This is not about hiding or suppressing truth. It's about respecting it, knowing that some truths are sacred. Some stories are for your growth, not for public consumption. Some battles are won quietly, far from the noise. The Stoics taught us this wisdom. They understood that real strength often shows in restraint. Epictetus said, "We have 2 ears and 1 mouth, so that we can listen twice as much as we speak." When you listen more, speak less, and hold back what doesn't serve your purpose, you command a presence that is unshakable. People feel it. They respect it. They lean in. And here's the paradox. The less you feel the need to prove yourself with words, the more solid you become. The power of what you don't say is a shield and a sword. It protects you from needless conflict, protects your mental space, and sharpens your focus on what truly matters. It also elevates your words when you do choose to speak, because scarcity adds value. When you rarely speak but speak with intent, your words carry weight and consequence. In relationships, in business, in life, this power separates the leaders from the followers, the calm from the chaotic, the wise from the reactive. But don't confuse silence with passivity. This is not about retreating from the world. It's about choosing your moments with precision, about allowing your actions, your demeanor, and your presence to say what words cannot. It's about living so aligned with your values and purpose that you don't need to explain, defend, or justify. Imagine how liberating that is. No longer tethered to the need for external approval. No longer trapped by the compulsion to react to every trigger. No longer weighed down by the endless cycle of explanation and defense. Instead, you move with a quiet confidence that demands respect without asking for it. The path forward is clear. Mastering what you don't say is the next level of mastery after the pause. It prepares you to harness your speech not as noise, but as a tool for impact. It sets the stage for the next crucial step, disciplining your speech to reflect your true self. Because what you hold back is just as powerful as what you speak. Are you ready to wield that power? To move beyond the noise, beyond the need to be heard, and into a space where your presence alone commands attention? This is the journey from reaction to intention, from impulsiveness to sovereignty. And it starts with the conscious choice to say less and mean more. The next step is about not just controlling your silence, but shaping your words so that when you do speak, you speak with undeniable authority, authenticity, and purpose. That's where true transformation begins. You've journeyed deep into the silent strength that shapes your true power, the art of restraint, the mastery of your emotions, and the discipline to speak only when your words carry weight. This isn't just theory. It's a way of living, a daily commitment to yourself and your integrity. If you've absorbed even a fraction of what we've discussed, you know now that the loudest voices don't command the most respect. Real power whispers. It moves quietly beneath the surface, But here's the truth that most never realize. This path is not easy. It demands you to resist the endless pull of validation, the constant noise of distraction, and the urge to justify every action. It asks you to sit in uncomfortable silence, to pause when your instincts scream for reaction, and to build quietly while the world watches others perform. The strength you seek isn't granted. It's forged through these choices every single day. So, where do you go from here? How do you transform this knowledge into the kind of power that reshapes your life and impacts those around you? First, you must commit. Commit to owning your words. Speak with intention, discipline your impulses, and let your silence be your shield. Stop chasing applause and start cultivating presence. Remember, every conversation you enter is an opportunity to build, to connect, to influence, or to waste your energy on noise. Choose wisely. Speak less, but let every word land with purpose and authenticity. Your words will become your legacy. They will define your character far more than any performance or social media post ever could. Next, cultivate emotional mastery. Your feelings don't control you, your response does. When frustration rises, when anger threatens to break your calm, pause. Breathe. Choose your reaction like the leader you are. That moment of pause is the birthplace of your power. It's the space where you reclaim your mind and command your destiny. But don't stop there. Detach from the endless need for external validation. Understand this: no like, comment, or approval will ever be as sustaining as your own internal alignment. The freedom you crave is found not in the gaze of others, but in the quiet confidence that comes from living authentically. When you stop performing for the crowd, you start living for your soul. Guard your truth like the rare treasure it is. Not everyone deserves to hear your story, your struggles, or your vision. Share selectively. Protect your energy fiercely. This is not about hiding, it's about discerning. When you give your truth only to those who can hold it with respect and empathy, you build a fortress around your spirit that no negativity can penetrate. And when you speak, speak to build, not to impress. Build trust, build clarity, build connection. Your words are not weapons for attention, but tools for transformation. Speak with humility and power. Let your silence punctuate your message. Let your presence carry more weight than any argument. Master the art of the pause. In a world obsessed with speed and noise, the ability to hold still, to choose when and how to speak, is revolutionary. This pause is your secret weapon. It turns chaos into clarity, reaction into response. It is where your highest self intervenes and where real influence is born. Finally, embrace the power of what you don't say. Sometimes the greatest authority comes from silence. The wisdom to know when your words are unnecessary is a mark of true maturity. Let your actions speak. Let your energy resonate. When you stop trying to be understood by everyone, you begin to understand yourself deeply. And that is freedom. Now is your moment. Not tomorrow, not when conditions are perfect, but now. Start integrating these principles into every interaction, every decision, every breath you take. The journey to silent power is ongoing. It requires patience, persistence, and above all, courage. If this message resonates with you, if you feel that spark of recognition and possibility, don't keep it to yourself. Share it. Like it. Comment with your own experiences. Engage with this community of those choosing to live with intention and strength. Together, we reject the noise. We reject the chaos. We build a movement grounded in clarity, discipline, and authentic power. You are not alone in this. Every step you take towards mastering your speech, your emotions, and your presence adds to a legacy far greater than any momentary applause. So rise. Rise with quiet confidence. Rise with fierce determination. Speak less, impact more. Own your truth. And live like no one is watching, because in that freedom, you become unstoppable. Your power is waiting, claim it now.